Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic weekend. We have a great show on tap for the faithful today. Training camp stars. I'll look at 5 players who have been starring for the Niners so far in training camp. And the player who's been impressing a lot of people and really turning some heads, it's a former first-round pick who in 3 years with San Francisco hasn't done much. But could that change in 2023? We're talking about Javon Kinlaw here, defensive tackle for the Niners, who San Francisco took at 14th overall back in 2020. And if he's able to pan out this year, that first-round haul of Kinlaw and Brandon Aiyuk could elevate San Francisco this year. Aiyuk's already become a really good player in this league. Kinlaw, up to this point, has been an absolute bust, but in training camp, he's been really, really good. Evaluating his performance so far in camp, it's the healthiest that he's been. He's in the best shape that he's been, dominating one-on-one drills as well as team drills. And when you look at Javon Kinlaw as an athlete, as a body, as a physical specimen, he's always looked the part. He looks like a freaky big athlete. Unfortunately for him, knee issues have caused him to be out of the lineup far too often, and because of that, there hasn't been a lot of production. He has missed 26 games in 3 years, and I believe he only has 1.5 sacks to his resume. There's pressure on him, though, to perform this year because San Francisco declined his 5th-year option, and that means that this year is the final year of his contract. Now, unfortunately, because of the injuries, he hasn't been able to participate in a lot of games, and he hasn't been able to be a part of the last 2 years when San Francisco has boosted one of the best defenses in the sport. They lose DeMeco Ryans. They bring in Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks is a really good defensive coordinator in this league. I go back to the conversation that I had right here on the show with Jay Glazer of Fox Sports during Super Bowl Radio Row when he told me, even including head coaching hirings, the buzz around the NFL was that the Niners' hiring of Steve Wilks could have been one of the best hires of the offseason. Great defensive coordinator, and he might get creative this year and more aggressive as compared to DeMeco Ryans. Shout out to John Chapman for taking a video of this. I took a screenshot of it. The 49ers yesterday at practice, or at least on Thursday, were experimenting with a 5-man front. Can you imagine the damage that they can cause with that 5-man front? And in this photo here, you see Clelin Ferrell, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, Javon Kinlaw, and then Drake Jackson. So this would probably be a 5-2 front in which Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are your 2 backers, and then you have 5 defensive linemen. You take out either Jackson or Ferrell. You put in Nick Bosa. That's a front that can get pressure on the quarterback. Javon Kinlaw, can he be a part of it? So far, so good. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I want to see what he's able to do. So with that, we tee up our first poll question. Chime in down in the comment section here. Who is your top breakout star in training camp? 1 down, 5 to go. Speaking of the rest of the list, here's number 2. Ty Davis-Price. 3rd-round pick out of LSU 2 years ago, and TDP was really good at LSU. Very powerful back, had some good speed, able to break tackles, pick up yards after contact, a tough back who could run in between the tackles, but at LSU did have some success running outside the tackles, but last year just wasn't the player that the Niners envisioned him being as a 3rd-round pick. Now, the Niners have done a great job of developing running backs. That's all thanks to Bobby Turner, the Niners running back coach, who's one of the best at his position in the NFL. They found UDFAs like Jordan Mason. They found draftees. Some of them have hit, some of them have busted. But either way, the Niners are always productive in Kyle Shanahan's offense in running the football. Can TDP be a part of that? When you evaluate him throughout training camp so far, most notably, he's in better shape. Slimmed down, just looks to be more in that running back NFL body. Also important, more decisive with his runs. He knows where to go with his runs in a complex scheme that sometimes is very difficult to get down. He understands the scheme better, which probably ties into point number 2, where he's decisive because he has a better grasp of what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. He's also added pass-catching ability to his arsenal, which only helps his chances of making the team, which it looks as though he's probably going to be able to do that because he's battling Jordan Mason for RB3. 2, though, actually getting playing time behind Christian McCaffrey and hopefully Elijah Mitchell if he's able to stay healthy. Now, John Lynch with a pretty telling quote on Ty Davis-Price. At times last year, it just didn't feel like it was the guy that we watched in college at LSU. Yikes. Now, this is good, though. But, man, it's been a complete turnaround. Now, from all accounts and from training camp takeaways, we've talked about this here on the show, that Ty Davis-Price is battling Jordan Mason for RB3 reps. Kalon Laybourne is a UDFA who's also impressing some people. You know that Christian McCaffrey is going to make this team. I would imagine Elijah Mitchell, even though he's out right now with that adductor strain, that's a groin injury. After that, though, Mason, Ty Davis-Price, how many running backs will the Niners have on this 53-man roster? This training camp and preseason competition is going to be a good one for the Niners. Kyle Shanahan on Jordan Mason here. I thought Jordan had a great rookie year, helped us out a lot. I think he's just understanding the offense better as a whole, getting better in the pass game. I definitely think he's taking some strides. So I love Mason as a player. He could be a breakout guy this year. If Elijah Mitchell is injured, then I think that Mason can be an RB2. Can TDP be an RB2 as well? Again, great competition in camp. Frank Gore, by the way, he is a part of this Niners front office. He's been giddy, and the other day got very excited about a run that Ty Davis-Price was able to pop off. So, predict this roster battle. Who will be RB3 between the former third-round pick in Tyrion Davis-Price and Jordan Mason, the UDFA, TDP, or JM? As you venture down to the comment section to get those votes in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please lock us in and join the movement. Join the greatest Niner community on YouTube for year-round coverage of San Francisco. We're talking news, rumors, breaking news, videos like this, audience interaction, live shows, watch parties. We do it all. Hit that sub button right now. Training camp star number 3. This shouldn't come as much of a surprise because Brandon Aiyuk, we all know, or at least the real ones know, he was a star last year for the Niners. He has once again been a star for San Francisco going into a very, very critical year 4 for him as he tries to secure the bag. Aiyuk has been the best player on the Niners throughout training camp. We're talking offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. He is cooking fools in one-on-one drills, team drills, red zone drills, 11-on-11s. There is nobody on the field that's been able to guard Brandon Aiyuk. And a big reason for that, 1, he's a really good player. 2, footwork is great. 3, route running is awesome. Speed is good. He has that acceleration. It's really difficult for anybody to keep in front of a good wide receiver or tight end in one-on-one drills. But the point here being, no matter the setting, no matter the quarterback, word is, let's go, Brandon. Aiyuk's been popping off. And my stat projections for Aiyuk this upcoming season are this. I think that he truly breaks out. I said going into last year that he was better than CD Lamb, same members of that draft class in 2020. Then everybody started to hop on board that train. I was early on it. And I think that going into this year and this year in 2023, if he simply featured more in this Niners offense, which is run-centric at times, Aiyuk can be absolutely elite. I'm talking top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. 120 targets is my stat projection. 90 catches, 1,345 yards with 10 touchdowns. Put this in your memory bank here because what Aiyuk did last year, 78 catches, 1,015 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So I think the receptions go up by 12. The yards go up by about 300, and the touchdowns go up by 2. I think that's feasible because I believe in the player here. Training camp star number 4, Danny Gray. Now, I do have to eat crow here to a certain degree because back a few days ago when I was doing my training camp winners and losers, Danny Gray hadn't really done much up to that point in training camp, and I called him out. I said, Danny Gray, you ran a 4.3 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process 2 years ago. I had you mocked to the Niners in my mock draft because I thought that you were a good fit. The Niners needed a vertical threat alongside Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. Where have you been? Last couple of practices, though, he's responded. Does he watch the 49ers report? People are talking. He's been routinely catching 20-plus yard passes over the last couple of days. And Kyle Shanahan, you think about the offensive design. He loves the high-low concepts where one receiver goes high, the other goes low. What does it do? Separates the defense vertically, separates the defense from sideline to sideline, opens up underneath routes, and then you can get coverage breakdowns on the back end where Gray can be open, going vertical to take the top off of the defense, or a Kittle, Deebo, Aiyuk, they can be open underneath. And Danny Gray is that vertical threat who could really unlock a Deebo, Aiyuk, or George Kittle by getting upfield. Safeties have to account for him, and then you hit the opposing defense with that switch route, the versatile routes in which you could go out, you could go in. We're talking in between the numbers, we're talking hash, all that stuff. That's what Danny Gray could bring this offense if he's more consistent. Now, Kyle Shanahan, with this quote on Danny Gray, I think he's having a real good camp. He put the work in phase 1, 2, and 3. He was able to get through OTAs, working hard, not having an injury, and he's obviously spent the 40 days away well because he's catching the ball. That was a question going into this year. He's in really good shape, and he's been out there very consistently, and the ball came his way a little bit more today. And I talked earlier about the speed of Danny Gray. When he was at SMU, this guy clocked a 4.3 40-yard dash. And can you imagine the avenues and the opportunities he's able to open up with that speed, with the Kyle Shanahan play design in this offense for everything to be open underneath for most likely Brock Purdy, who might not have the strongest arm in the world, but if receivers are open free, all you have to do is be accurate with the football and get it to him in stride. That's an explosive play which can take down and attack that defense. Training camp star number 5 is Deebo Samuel. So we have 3 wide receivers here, 1 running back and 1 defensive lineman, specifically a defensive tackle in Javon Kinlaw. I really just want to talk about Deebo Samuel because when I don't do my job here at Chat Sports, if I have a bad show, I am always accountable. If I don't bring my heat to the airways every single day, I go home, it eats at me, I can't sleep. The same happened for Deebo Samuel, and that's what it requires to be great. David Goggins, I appreciate the motivation, right? Conquer that inner bitch. For Deebo Samuel, he was not happy with the tape that he put on film last year. He was not happy the shape that he was in. He said admittedly in open air that he looked sluggish, and he was embarrassed by his performance last year. He vowed he wasn't going to put those types of plays on tape once again, and he let the contract dispute affect him. That's why he was out of shape, always injured with all those soft tissue injuries, and the explosiveness wasn't there. This is a look at Deebo Samuel in training camp. He looks slimmed down. People have said he looks to be in the best shape since he was drafted out of South Carolina in 2019 when he was a steady contributor for a Niners offense that made it to the Super Bowl. In 2021, he was an All-Pro, and he looks to be in that 2021 All-Pro form. Niners Nation, Kyle Posey. Check him out if you haven't already done so. He's been doing a great job with some unbiased reports and write-ups of Niners training camp practices so far. And this is pretty notable here for Deebo. Brandon Aiyuk is the talk of the town. But Deebo Samuel looks like a different person through a few practices. To me, he looks more flexible. Samuel gets in and out of his breaks quicker and is separating at a higher frequency thanks to that. And I've said this a couple of times here on the show. I don't want to repeat myself, but a lot of people are new to the channel. We have a lot of people watch us, millions of people worldwide. So I just want to say this. If Deebo Samuel is in his 2021 form for this Niners offense here in 2023, given the weapons on that side of the ball, the play design, the scheme, and the play calling from Kyle Shanahan, I think that the Niners could put together one of the best, if not the best offensive seasons in the history of this franchise. If you're still rocking with us, Real One roll call. Give me your real one down below. We appreciate your support so greatly here on the Niners Report, and make sure you subscribe for daily content on San Francisco.